Recording. Test, test, test. So we're not live. It's just me and you. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I am your host, and with me today is Kyle, Lone Wolf, round 2 for you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think I could do it.
I know you can. We miss Katie. She, as of the time of this recording, she's landed safely from her vacation, and she will be here for the next episode. We look forward to that. Before we get to the emails, Kyle, I don't really want to say this individual's name because it's not fair to this individual, and I won't say if it's a male or female. But this individual, I'll tell you offline. They left our Patreon, and which is fine. Totally understand. Not a big deal. Finances come and go. We appreciate the support for all this time, and we want to say thank you to all those supporters on Patreon. And we do are always looking for more support, so thank you to everyone that does support us. But usually with some of these Patreons, one of two things. Either they're just done with the show, which is fine, and they've moved on, or they don't have the finances, which is also fine, and they move on, or they still listen. But this individual is someone that's been a very avid emailer of the show, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I found out they left me on Twitter. And that's kind of a real, so it's a real, yeah, that's like, it's one thing to stop Patreon, because, like, again, that's just a nice to have, not needed to listen to our show, of course. But then they left me on Twitter. I'm like, okay, they're telling me, I'm done. I'm done with these guys. I don't want to see their Twitter feeds. I don't want to see announcements of episodes. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Is it who we think it is?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that settles it.
So if this individual wants to send us an email, give us the reasons why. I would love to hear it, because I will say, look, we're not a perfect podcast. I understand that we've harped on Michael B. Jordan throughout these last 2 seasons, but it's coming to an end, and I really wanted to announce this. This is actually part 2. So Katie and Kyle have agreed to do the Rocky series again, and we're basically gonna reboot the show. It's going to be called One More Round, the Rocky series podcast. So we're retitling the show at the end of this Creed coverage. Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast, is ending forever. No longer to have new episodes or what have you. But Ryan, Katie, and Kyle are basically doing a whole new rebooted podcast called One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. And we're going to be covering Rockies 1 through 6, not the Creed films. So there you go. Because Katie came on during the Creed films, Kyle has been with us since the beginning, on and off, but not through full coverage of any of the movies. So, and we're going to do the same format we're doing now, scene by scene, talk about things, show the movie on our Discord. So if you want to join us in Discord, we have no one today, which is totally fine, but join us in Discord, and you get to watch it live and what have you, but we're on YouTube and all that good stuff. So there you go. That's a lot of business, but I wanted to throw that out there. What are your thoughts on the One More Round, though, Kyle?
Excited for it. It's going to be good because I feel like we're in a good groove now, and we can apply that to the earlier classic Rocky, especially the first film. So, yeah, it'll be good. I still was excited about doing Rambo. That's why it was a tough choice. So
okay, so let me explain what's going on with that. So because we're all busy, Kyle's busy, Katie's busy, and I didn't want to take them away from their family and friends and weekends doing 2 podcasts at once. So I think what we're kind of going to do is the Rambo series podcast called It's a Long Road, the Rambo series podcast. Check me out on Twitter. It's up and out. It's been announced. It's going to happen this spring. I kind of gave Katie and Kyle a Sophie's choice, like, which one do you guys want to do? And not because I couldn't in good conscience force both of them to do both shows. But however, I am on the Rambo show going to have rotating guest hosts. So that being said, Katie and Kyle will be regular guest hosts. Like I can only imagine I'll be. There's going to be about 5 or 6 people I have in mind, and there are 2 of those 5 or 6 that I'm going to regularly ask. So it's not going to be I would say burden, but everyone's going to have a bit of a break from their own shows, their own life, and it's like, hey, it's been 4 weeks. Do you want to come on and do another episode? And we'll see how that goes, and maybe as time goes on, there might be even just more regular host guys that want to stick around for the longer haul. Because, again, it's 5 movies, right? So I didn't want to commit Katie or Kyle or anyone to another whole other series. And I think a lot of our listeners on the Going the Distance really want to hear Katie and Kyle's thoughts on Rocky. But they both chose Rocky over Rambo ultimately, but I know you guys are going to be just as happy to guest host on the Rambo coverage. Does that sound about right?
yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
In terms of the lost listener, I just want to say something to you, Ryan. That's showbiz, kid. You're used to it.
I know. You know what it is? I guess everyone comes and goes, and that's fine. It's. I'm not worried about people losing interest in the show. Trust me, the numbers are down during the. I'll tell you right now, the numbers are like a third of what they used to be, almost with than the Rocky coverage, and that's fine. I think it just shows that there's more Rocky fans than Creed fans, film fans. But I did promise to go the distance, and that's what we're doing. But I just feel bad because, I think we're offering again. I think we offer a lot of good Rocky talk and insight, even when we talk about the Rocky films. So speaking of which, we have a ton of emails. So here we go. People answered the call almost too much. No, I don't want to say that, but our regulars came in, minus the one guy. The regulars came in, and here we go. This is from Hector, titled "All Right, Sausage Party." So I guess he's probably talking to me and you, Kyle, I guess, because in Katie's absence. He goes, "Hey fellas, I don't really have much to comment about you guys that hasn't been said in an email in the last 2 episodes. Although we miss Katie, we have a chance to take advantage of having locker room talk." So I guess he's picturing himself with us right now.
Yes, nice.
He said, although we miss, yeah, okay. He says, spit buckets, jock straps, and no kissing signs. He says, and we can also take turns describing our testicles using only movie titles. What would be, I don't know. I would have to come up with that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. If you could think of a movie title for your balls, let me know.
Okay. My brain's computing now. I'll come up with that by the end of the show.
Yeah. He says, okay, a real comment. Rocky's advice to Adonis after his daughter's hearing loss test is something that is opposite to today's way of reasoning. Okay, let's see what he has to say. When kids get awarded trophies even when they lose the big game and get offended when the truth and reason is in stark contrast to their way, and Disney destroys Star Wars, Rocky Balboa's advice is like a chest full of gold in an old forgotten sunken boat. Working hard through adversity to attain one's personal goals has become something to avoid or even scoff at. The Rocky story has become legendary, not because it's a great story, but because it's now a legend akin to folktale. Although there are many Rockies out there who have fought through their own personal adversities and conquered them and continue to do so, they are usually looked over for the ones who cry because their lollipop that wasn't theirs to begin with got taken away. So this scene was the turning point for Hector in the movie. Not the training montage, but the realization in Adonis' mind that he's not only in an uphill battle, but his daughter's not laying down. Well, she is because she's a newborn baby, he says, but you guys know what I mean. Keep punching. There you go. Oh, he wants says, P.S. Whenever Kyle's not on screen, all the other characters should be asking, "Where's Kyle?"
Fair enough.
All right, so that's from Hector, our favorite wrestler. He's fantastic. So basically, he's saying he likes Rocky's wisdom, and again, we all do. Rocky's advice to Adonis to not, don't take it down. Don't you take it lying down. Come at your hearing come at your hearing loss hard, like you did with your mother.
It was beautiful.
All right, our favorite German. He came in. This is Patrick Mentel. He binged listened to episodes 13 through 16. He says he's still loving the show. He said during here you go. This is for the individual who left our podcast, but he does speak for this individual. And that's fine. But Patrick didn't leave us. He's sticking around. He said during episodes 13 to 14, I was a little bit weary of the constant MBJ bashing. He says that it seems that I am the only one, or one of the very few, who roots for him, at least from those who write emails, or join our Discord, or guest on your season finale. So, yeah, I would say Patrick and the other individual, you guys are in the minority, I hate to say it, but that's fine. It's your opinions. You're allowed to have them. He says he thinks he's a good actor. Not the best, but more than decent. He was good in Fruitville Station and Just Mercy. Anyways, he goes on to say that... this is a good thing about not being live. I'll just... He goes, in episode 16, your opinion on Adonis seemed to have changed a little bit, though. Yes, it did. And he wants to see how this character evolves even further in Creed 3. So I agree. We talked about that, how Adonis is less, not to say annoying, but his character has grown. He is maturing, and it will be interesting to see how that matures in Creed 3. Even though Going the Distance is retiring and shutting its doors at the end of this series, we will definitely do a one-off episode of a Creed 3 review on the other feed. Absolutely. He's looking forward to Samaritan, yep, and Expendables 4 in 2022. Now, he says something interesting here. He goes, speaking of Creed 2 and Creed 3, since Sly has stated on the Stallone Zone forum and in the podcast of his daughters how dissatisfied he is with Creed 2, a lot of fans on the forum suddenly hate Creed 2 as well and think that as a real Sly fan, you're not allowed to support Creed 3, which he thinks is hilarious. And I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a cult, okay? Like, you can like whatever movie you want. Just because Sly says something, you don't have to have that opinion, too.
But I find it very interesting. Sly's been doing this recently. He did it on his daughter's podcast. I haven't listened to it because, I don't know. I just don't want to listen to his daughters talk to his dad. But apparently on the last episode with his daughters, he's done 2 with his daughters to try to get their podcast going. The last one that he did with his daughters, apparently he did reveal a lot of Creed 2 dissatisfaction, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be, like... I love to hear that drama shit behind the scenes.
So that might be something worth listening to. Maybe me, you, and Katie can... maybe I'll listen to it and give you the timestamp where he starts talking about Creed 2. We could talk about it next episode. He says here that... he goes, I am as much a Sly fan as everyone else, but I try to separate life from art. And although I would love for Sly to have a better experience on Creed 2 and earn Winkler and probably MBJ to treat Sly a little bit better, the movie itself, Creed 2, is still great. Yes, I agree. We love Creed 2. We love the movie. He goes on to say that Mike Kunda apparently commented on Stallone's own forum called Creed 2 a disaster, a garbage film. It's not a great sequel. And Patrick says, I couldn't disagree more, and I totally agree with Patrick. I totally disagree with Mike Kunda. That's a terrible take. Saying that Creed 2 is garbage, a disaster of a film, that's a disaster comment.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That doesn't even make sense. I think he's just...
disaster of a film, that's saying something.
I no offense to Mike, but I think he's kind of just like that cult of Stallone. I think if Stallone loved Creed 2, I wonder. But, that's fine. Again, everyone has their own opinion, and I love Creed 2. I really do. All right, he's looking forward to episode 17, which we're recording right now.
I'm still not sure if I like Creed 2 more than the original Creed, but
Okay.
maybe they're similar. I like them similarly. Like they're both good films in my mind. They're not the best, but they're okay.
So we got a great long email from Melissa. And Melissa, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to bring up your some interesting points here. She also talks about that podcast with Sophia and Sistine Stallone. It's called Unwaxed, which is such an interesting title. I thought girls wax. Anyways, I don't know what that means. Unwaxed. Usually, when a girl waxes, right? Isn't that like facial hair and other hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I guess they're not waxed.
but
They maybe they get laser treatment.
I think that waxing your stuff's bullshit. Personally, that's my opinion.
Well, they're
If you want to ask me, that's my official podcast opinion on that. You could do whatever you want. I'm just saying.
So, so they interviewed both Sly and Jennifer last week. That's of course Sly's wife. He says she said it was interesting, and Sly was cracking me up as usual. Near the end, the girls asked their parents some listener questions. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit interesting. One of them was, what is your least favorite movie that Sly's acted in? Jennifer said, of course, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. No surprise there. And also Get Carter, which Melissa disagrees with because Jennifer says it was too dark. But Sly answered, here we go, this is where this comes in. Sly answered Creed 2 very quickly. And when they asked why he said that, he said, quote, it's a long story. It was just a bad time. Realized Rocky was ending. It was just very emotional. Ooh, that's quite open for Sly to say that. Bad time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, we'll never see the movie the way the people who made the movie will see it. Because, like, if you say you did even a great show, I'll just think of a good movie, but say, like, I don't know, Titanic or something like that.
Sure.
And say that actually making that film was pure hell.
Sure.
for whatever reasons. Hey, the director was a dick, or it was just really physically tough. You might not like that film, even though most people would, or at least they did at the time. I don't know what people think of that film now, but um, therefore, if you have your own baggage about that film, or like you weren't getting along with the guy there, that could really taint your view of the film in general. I respect that.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair. And we talked about that before, that you can have tumultuous or rough, whether it's an album that you're making or art that you're making, but doesn't mean the product's not good. That's fair. Hey, Donald just entered
Oh, yeah.
our Donald just entered our chat. Welcome, Donald, to our Discord.
Where's he from again? Is he the guy from the UK, or is he some other guy?
No, Donald's not UK. I'm not sure where he's from. He's 38. I don't know why that matters, but he's like our age, and he's stateside, I believe. I'm not sure where though.
Okay.
It was Baz. Baz was the guy that got up at 2:30 in the morning to watch our show.
Yeah, that's right.
Insane.
Wow, that guy's a champion. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue with Melissa's email. She said that Sly also said he wasn't great, or he didn't like Oscar. Oh, sorry. He said he also mentioned Oscar, but said that he liked it, and it was supposed to be French farce, but the audience didn't get it. The girls said they liked it, and Melissa says that she personally loves it. He also said one of his big disappointments was Rhinestone, because he loved working with Dolly, but they had several directors. Anyway, she goes on to say, I thought it was very telling that he answered Creed 2 so quickly. Things must have left a bad taste in his mouth and memory for sure about that, especially given all the other movies that haven't been great or received well in his business career. I just think it's so sad, because there would be no Creed movies or Legacy without Sly, period. And Michael B. Jordan and others involved better realize that someday. Melissa. So Melissa's kind of like where we are. I think we do get protective of Sly and his creation. I think that's why maybe I might be a little bit hard on Michael B. I do admit that, and I've been clear about that too. I'm with Melissa. That it kind of sucks that, again, the rumor is, it could be wrong, so Michael B's attorneys don't come after me, that Michael B went behind the Sly's back to the director, basically saying, look, this is a Creed film, too much Rocky, which doesn't mean it's a bad, like, he's not wrong. It is a Creed film. Maybe there was too much Rocky in Michael's eyes, but there probably would have been a more diplomatic way of doing it without upsetting the guy that created the frickin' character. Maybe involve Sly saying, hey, Sly, what do you think? Should we focus on Creed? But diplomacy goes a long way, and according to what the story is, it seemed like maybe to Sly that he felt slighted. He felt slighted. All right, Nick, we have
We'll never really know.
Say again?
We'll never really know unless, of course, they openly admit it. But
well, it seems like the circumstantial evidence is pointing that Sly wasn't happy, and the only reason why I could think he wasn't happy was not because of what was done. Like we said, the film itself was well received, did well at the box office, so Sly can't be unhappy about the product. It sounds like he was unhappy about the experience. Yeah. All right, so here we go from Nick. Nick goes by Chester Copperpot on Twitter, if you guys are tracking. He says, hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. He's got a few questions for us. He's Kyle, I'll leave this to you. Do you think this is
you smell mainly or something, Ryan? What's going on?
Hey, it's not my fault. They wrote the emails improperly, so I have to correct the grammar on the fly here.
Okay.
He says, do you think it was wise or a good or bad idea to leave Apollo's older kids out of the Creed series?
I think it's wise, personally. I think there's enough going on in that series with people that, and we don't ever see, other than seeing them play in Rocky 2,
right,
for like 10 seconds, they're basically not in the films, right? And so, like, you have to introduce these characters and develop them. And I think the film would be too cluttered if you had them there. And I don't think they'd add a ton of value because, as far as we could tell, they're not into boxing at all. And they're way older. And I could see some actually, now that I think about it, I could see some value where maybe they don't get along with Adonis because he kind of came into their family and stuff. But you really have to go off the rails to develop that storyline, and I think it's too much of a distraction.
Okay. I'll allow it. I think maybe for the third film, might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, you could always bring them in. Like, there's Like they could live, say, in New York or something, or maybe some other part of LA, or maybe they're not talking to mom or whatever. Like it is kind of odd that you don't see them or hear about them because you think they'd be there for when like Adonis got married or when he had a baby or something like that, unless they don't get along. But they're almost kind of forgotten about completely. Like they're never even referenced.
No, it's weird. Donald says he would like to see them meet Adonis or have some on-screen time with Adonis just to address some loose ends. Yeah, and I'm hoping Creed 3 addresses that. Which brings me
I
to
would be really interested to see what they think. Like when Adonis first came there. Like, could you imagine that? You're, I don't know, 12 or 15 or something.
right.
And then this or maybe probably 20. They're probably closer to being an adult, actually, by the time Adonis came around in the 90s there. But so you're an adult, and then your mom says, hey, guess what? You have a half sibling from your dad's affair that was born after he died. Welcome this new addition to the family.
That would have been yeah, and
That would be unreal.
that would be a cool scene, and that could have happened in the first Creed. But again, like you're saying, too many characters. But that would have been an interesting sequence just to show, hey kids, I want you to meet somebody. That would have been an interesting, 90 seconds. It would have helped with the continuity. But alas, we didn't get it. That's the problem with Creed. I think in some ways with the Creed films is that they were created by the non-creator, right, of the series. So I think some things were left out that, Ryan Coogler, though a Rocky fan because of his dad, maybe he wasn't a nerd about it like we are. So there's things that weren't important to him as a writer to attach, whereas you and I and others who listen to our show, of course, are big Rocky nerds. So it's like, where's those kids and why don't we meet them? And so yeah, I can it's maybe Creed 3 we get to see more of the family. Okay. Next question is Kyle, what are your two favorite Rocky songs?
Putting on the spot here. Gotta Fly Now is definitely number one, like the original. Um, you know what? I don't think it's really a Rocky song, but I quite like Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, no, that's
With
fair. He said his were Eye of the Tiger, and he agrees with you on that, and I agree with him on a second choice, No Easy Way Out. That one's just a banger. I just love that
Yeah,
song.
that's a good one too. I like it.
And
I really like. I said this in when we did Rocky Four, but I liked that they used new songs
yeah,
like that. That was a good risk they took there because I really enjoy the Rocky music. And I enjoy it, like especially when you have like the feelings moment. They put on that certain I don't know what it's called, but like you recognize it right away, and it brings you back. So it's good that they keep a lot of the old stuff, but it's good to add some new things too.
and of course, my favorite, my second favorite Rocky song is when Rocky's teaching Adrian how to sing. Da da do dee.
Do 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 do.
I think that's my favorite one.
Oh man.
And then he asks, third question, will there be coverage of Creed 3? Yeah, we mentioned that at the beginning of the show here, that yes, we'll do Creed 3, but it will just be, I'm 99% sure it's just going to be a standalone one. It might be a big episode, it might be 2 hours long, but it'll be a one review of the film for sure. And it will be on the One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast feed. This one
You know
will
what we should do?
What's that?
Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off there.
that's fine.
We should almost have like I don't know if this will infringe on the copyright or whatever, but if like say it comes out online or something, we should all have a thing where we just watch it together, like almost a reaction video, something like that.
We could think about that. Yeah, we could do Discord for sure. Yeah, that's something we could do, and then we could record as we go. We could make it like a 3 hour event, like pause it, talk about it type thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, a good idea. Now we'll let us know if that's a good idea, people. And then I like this. He goes, "It's always awesome when I see a new Going the Distance podcast is out." Thanks, man. Appreciate that. All right, and soon it'll be the One More Round podcast, so stand by for that. Last one. This one's titled. This one's titled
For me.
Kate. This one's titled Kate Creed. This is from Donald. He's in our Discord right now. He said, "Dear Ryan and Kyle, I loved episode 16 of your Creed 2 coverage. I haven't sent an email lately because I've caught the Discord live streams. He did miss last week's, So he's sent us an email to make up for that. Well, that's very kind of him.
Solid, buddy.
If everyone did that, we'd have like 500 emails a week.
Yeah.
He said the birth of the deaf baby is one of the most dramatic moments in the film, but I also believe it marks the beginning of the end of Adonis's boxing career, whether the characters in Creed know it or not. He just basically goes on to say that a special needs child just requires so much attention that it would be hard to focus your attention training and being a boxer and having this special needs child at home. Now, he's in our Discord. Now, Donald, if you don't mind my asking, you said your parents had one. Were you the special needs child, or was it a sibling? I say that with all due respect, but you didn't. I was confused because you said your parents had a special needs child. Because you said you're
guessing it's a sibling.
Say again?
My guess is sibling. I'm putting my money down on that. But
well, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's typing with a machine. Yeah, let me type this. Sorry.
You guys are fucking idiots.
Yes. I am tired of this show. I'm gonna leave this show like the other guy did.
Well, this is the thing. My opinion. I do agree that special needs children need a lot of attention.
Yes, they do.
My kid's on special needs, and he's driving me insane. So you can only imagine if they're special needs.
I have one. I actually have one. In all seriousness, not physical. He just has a learning disability. Like it's hard to explain, but just a myriad of issues. He's 15 years old, but I mean, just has a myriad of issues. He's homeschooled because of that.
Yeah.
So it's a constant. My wife and I are just constantly a lot of emotional energy is just placed into this one child. Sometimes it leaves very little room for the other children, and I feel bad for the other children.
Yeah, my daughter, for example, she'll get resentful if we're spending too much time with our son. My son, not to get into too much stuff, but he doesn't eat. And it's a huge challenge just to get him to eat or sleep. Like, it's just, and like you said, it's just so much energy. And then it takes away from the other kids, and the other kids have, they start acting out because they're not getting attention. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And it's no one's fault. It's just what it is.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. Yeah, so Donald was the one. He said he was visually impaired. Wow.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm wrong.
Do you want me to describe what Kyle looks like? Because he's a disaster. If you take this cross a mongoloid. He's a cross between Clubber Lang, and Paulie. If they had,
oh, Jesus Christ! Thanks. So that Clubber got put in there instead of just Paulie.
Yeah. No, that's great.
It's like you're a cross between Robert, that when he was a little kid in Philly, and Paulie. It's like you're kind of weak and baby faced like him, but you're also like a fat lump like Paulie. So it's like put them together. That's you.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well,
to answer Dom's question though,
yeah,
I don't know if that would end his career, only because they have huge resources at their disposal that normal families would not have.
That's what I was thinking too. Not
probably don't have to go work, and they could have therapists, and they could have nannies and housekeepers, and anything he wants, he could have because he's like a multi-millionaire. Yeah,
but Donald does bring up a good point. But yes, I would suspect, no offense, Donald, that these characters in the film have more resources than probably Donald's parents had. So bless your parents' heart for doing all they did, because they probably didn't have the help or the resources that the Adonises have.
Yeah, who does, right? Like 0.05% of people.
All right. He wanted us. There's a couple other things here, but I'll just read this one. He said he wanted to let us know that Dolly Parton, Sly's Rhinestone co-star, has a new line of cake mixes coming out in March.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah. Boy. Yeah. Have you seen Dolly Parton's new shoes?
No.
Neither is she.
I don't have time for anything. I'm a loser.
Neither is she.
Oh, fuck.
What do you call the sweat on Dolly Parton's chest?
What?
Mountain Dew.
I love Dolly Parton.
I
She's the
love her too.
nicest
Oh,
person.
I know. I love her.
The best.
I love everything about her. All right. Okay, that's the emails. Thanks everyone for joining us in the mailbag session. We did have a lot. I shortened a lot of them, and I apologize for that. But I think we got the good points out for our listeners. Well, drum roll, please. Without further ado, we're about to start the training montage that will be covered in this episode. And before we get to that montage, of course, Rocky and Tony Jr. and Adonis are having discussion about what they're about to do and face. Here we go. Oh, so Kyle, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play longer segments. Okay, I'm gonna like play
Yeah.
this, play the scene, and then we'll tell you. Okay.
You better.
You gotta think about this real hard. You got people that need you now.
That's exactly why I can't lose.
Buddy said the fight has to be in Russia. Take it or leave it.
Russia.
On their turf.
So Russia it is.
What you think, Rock? It's a clear advantage if it comes down to a judge's decision.
Well, then we can't let it get to a judge's decision, right?
Oh, shit. Call a promoter.
So we training here tomorrow, 5 a.m.
Nah, I got other plans.
You mean you want to go to Philly?
No. Listen, you want to change things in a big way, and you need to make some big changes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts there?
So in Russia, no surprise. Obviously, echoing the fourth film. It's not on Christmas, I assume.
No, it's not Christmas. Are you nuts?
Yeah, I would. If I were them, though, I would want to have at least one judge not from Russia, though.
Well, are we to assume that all the judges are Russian? That wasn't. So they said, we got to make sure.
Yeah.
It's a nice little point there because they're saying we got to make sure it doesn't go to the judges, which is I had a fun little moment there for Rocky to show, hey, we're gonna go in this and we're gonna knock this guy's block off. I love it, right? You got to have that right at the beginning of this training, so that's good. We are going to win this fight, so that's great right there mindset.
Well, and also it's Rocky. There's no fights that go by points, except for the very first one.
Yeah.
Like it's always the knockout because that's what like the moviegoers want to see, right? Because in actuality, the way you'd handle Victor is you would draw him out over 50. Wow, over 12 now. Would have been 15 back in the day, but and you'd have him beat on points. You'd be hard to knock him out. You might like if he gets real tired at the end, but so if I was told that like that I'd have unfavorable judges. That really puts you in a bind strategy-wise because you have to go. You're going to have a knockout fight with a guy who's way bigger than you.
Yeah, it's
It's Rocky, right? It's like overcoming incredible odds,
right.
beating someone who's physically superior to you. Like it has all the Rocky trademarks.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. The music cue kicks in. It's amping up a little bit, and Tony Jr.'s.
Oh, of course, we got to talk about location.
Well, we'll get to when
Because
they
he's like,
show it.
Philly-
We'll get to it when we show it. But before we
Well,
get
I
there,
want to make one comment about it, though.
okay, sure.
That's another Rocky thing where switching up the location changes the fight for you. So we saw that in Rocky 3 and Rocky 4.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The idea that you can't train in this house of ill repute. You got to train on the beaches.
Well, you had to go back to the beginning. You had to train at that shitty gym that Apollo apparently originally trained in, not this Delphi gym.
Well, Delphi.
And-
We've determined Delphi came after. It had to have come after.
Yeah, that is a fact. And also, like, I'm really glad they didn't choose Russia to train in. That would be a little too on the nose,
A
right?
little bit too on the nose. It already is on the nose that they've gone to Russia because they don't feel safe in America. They've gone to Russia; it's their home turf. It's like cockroaches have gone. The light is turned on, they go scurrying back to their house. Which
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they wouldn't feel safe in America, though. It's not like he killed Adonis. Like, I could see why Ivan Drago wouldn't want to stay there, but
home turf. Well, I guess it's fair. The first fight was this, even though Adonis, quote unquote, technically didn't lose the fight, they want the next fight to be on their home, which is fair. So 1 for 1 makes sense, sure.
yeah. I don't know why you couldn't pick it where both fights that it was in like a more neutral location, like have it in like London or somewhere like that.
Canada.
But, yeah, right. Like, but yeah.
So this is interesting. Now we're going to see where they're headed. So it's not Philly, like Donna said. It's not Philly. It's not Tough Gym where his dad worked out. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. I'm just going to mute the song because the song will be get me blocked.
The Sagebrush of Pennsylvania they're in right now. On their way to Philly.
Yeah, so they're driving. They're out in the desert. They're in Adonis's Mustang, but Rocky's at the wheel. Mustang weakened legs.
Yeah, exactly. And now we see the Russia gym.
Yeah, so
that's a palatial gym, if you ask me.
Yeah, so we assume that we now see the Dragos at their gym, and it's kind of similar now. We see them at a nice gym, kind of like harkening back to Rocky IV with the nice gym. And of course, Adonis is still training. As we'll see, he'll still be training outside with kind of like the rough and tumble type equipment, where the Dragos are at a very, like you said, a very palatial, nice looking gym, probably provided by the Russian authorities and what have you.
Yeah, and like that's the problem with this training with Victor is that his lifestyle made him tough. Every day was training for him, whether he was doing actual boxing training or not. And now he's getting soft.
All right, so we have oh man, Hector just joined us. Hector just
Hey, did you hear anything I said? Because your picture blurred out on me.
No, I heard everything. And I got it over.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, we want to welcome Hector to the live discussion. Our favorite.
Hey, Hector, how's it going?
Hector's a character. He's been with us for a long time. I love him. I love Hector. Okay, so we're about to get to the training here, but so what we've got here is it's out in the desert. It's like almost like these guys are. Would you say they're convicts or criminals? It's hard to.
They look like they may be affiliated. They look like the kind of guys who may hang together in groups in urban settings.
I think some of these are Hector's people, actually. Hector, what are your people doing here? All right, let's hear what they have to say. So here's what they say about this place. All right, so they get out of the car. There's a dog barking. It looks like a prison yard in the middle of the desert, quite frankly.
Yeah, because in prisons now, they don't give you weights because I guess guys were killing each other with them. So all the exercise stuff is like these bars where you do push-ups, or not push-ups, but pull-ups and dips and all sorts of things like that. Yeah, you're right. It is very almost kind of like outdoor prison camp, like Joe Arpaio's Tent City or something like that.
So I'll just let Hector know. Hector, if you can hear us, which I'm sure you can, just click on the box that says "Watch Stream," and you should be able to see what we're seeing and hear what we're seeing and hearing. And then do your text chatting in the hashtag live discussion. Donald, if you just want to tag him into that, and then he'll know where to go. Thanks, brother. All right. So here, before we get into this, I thought, Kyle, this would have been just imagine this. So they get to this desert prison yard training facility. Imagine if it was Clubber Lang who walked out to meet these guys.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? I was going to actually comment about Clubber and Rocky III, a certain mystery that I have about that movie that kind of relates to this.
Okay, maybe don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going to spoil your Rocky III discussion on Clubber. That's all.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, I wonder where Clubber trained this for the second fight. Like, you see him training old school in that first one. You never see Clubber train in the second. I wonder if he had a fancy gym and stuff like that, or if he stayed old school.
He actually took over the House of Ill Repute. He thought, all that equipment's set up, I might as well just train there. his team rented out that place. They were selling Clubber Lang memorabilia there. T-shirts with pain and I pity the fool and all that. And people were going up and rubbing his mohawk and stuff. Oh man.
That would be cheesy though if Clubber was there though in actuality.
But I think it would have been a really good. Okay, imagine how much fans of the Rocky franchise would have geeked out here had Clubber Lang walked around. And now they wouldn't have been able to keep this out of the trailers or whatever, but still, it would have been so cool had Clubber Lang walked around. He's reformed, and we see that Rocky's made peace at least with one of his opponents, not just Apollo, but he's also made peace with Clubber. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, which I imagine he could have, because we hear Clubber like when all born again Christian and shit after, like because he's George Foreman.
According to Sly.
Yeah.
Sly canonized that Clubber went biblical. Yeah.
So we all know Clubber's now a businessman too. If he follows the George Foreman thing, he's probably selling grills and all sorts of things. So
he probably does. Like anti-inflammatory ads.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was boxing, I had pain in my backside, but now
you got to get a leave.
I pity the fool who doesn't buy my leave. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, man. You gotta be messing with me, right?
Heard this is a place where fighters go. You know, to start over, get reborn.
What took y'all so long? Some wild shit.
Yeah. She looks like hell to me.
Since you're going back to hell, you might as well get used to it. Let's go.
All right, so since you're going back to hell, you might as well get used to it. So we'll see now, and we'll describe it as we go along, the different methods that Adonis is using to train, but we know that it's really quite a brutal training sequence in general. He's basically training his body to take and feel pain, speaking of pain, to endure pain, just to keep fighting through the pain. Because they know Victor is going to still deliver those killer punches. Thoughts?
Yeah, and that's like Muhammad Ali was known for stuff like that, because everyone always thought they could slow Ali down and take him out by hitting the body. And once you got his body, his legs would go, and so he trained his body to take insane amounts of punishment.
I'm just trying to get Hector in on the chat. There you go. See if you'll get that. Okay, so the first thing that Adonis is doing is he's dragging, I guess, a sledgehammer across the dirt for our listening audience, of course. That's the music, so that's what you hear, that dragging sound. Lifts it up. Rocky nods his head. Oh, he says... Sorry, I gotta...
Go for it.
Go for it. There you go. Go for it. Pop quiz. When was the first time Rocky said go for it in the films?
Oh man, I feel like this is a trick question
I don't
because
think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it's... Just say the answer. I think it's...
Clubber Lang, when he said, "I'm going to bust you up."
Yeah, you just said Rocky says go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, oh, that seems like the obvious answer. So maybe he said it in like the first two, but right. No. Yeah.
No, I could be wrong.
Go for it.
I'm sure you go for it. So now Adonis is just literally pounding sand, harder, as they say. Rocky says harder.
I think he's going to get higher here, yeah.
Harder.
Keep going, Rocky says. And now Adonis, I got to mute the music, guys, just for copyright stuff. So Adonis is also, now we're just going to describe, of course, what's happening. So those who, of course, have seen this film, they'll remember. So Adonis has also been shown running behind the Mustang, and Rocky's driving it. Now we cut to Victor getting taped up.
Looking serious as usual.
And then another sequence here of Adonis hitting tires, not a punching bag, but tires on top of
that. Would really hurt. And he doesn't really have gloves on either.
Now this sequence here always stresses me out. This sorry, because he sneezed. This sequence here always stresses. Oh boy!
I pressed mute, but it didn't work.
Kyle's got COVID. This sequence here always stresses me out. This is Adonis has this leather strap on his head, and he's doing neck lifts. And I guess, is that a real exercise? That scares me.
I don't know. Hector would know.
Hector, do you know about that kind of stuff? Look at that. He's got his hands behind his back, and he's lifting the weights. Like, it looks like maybe 100 pounds or... Oof.
That'd be a good gift for a wife, for Christmas. Get that neck bobbing strength up, you know what I mean? Maybe not the big weights like that, but...
So Rocky yells, build that neck. All right. And he goes back to punching the tires. And you're right, he doesn't have very
Well, you
much...
need that strong neck, right, to take those headshots.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
You can't strengthen your face, right? Your face is your face, and if it gets punched, it'll take theoretically the same damage as any normal schmuck, but then if you have a weak neck, then your neck could really go twist back if you get hit hard in the head.
So Adonis is still running behind the Mustang. Now we're going to the sequence here that we saw. I remember seeing this in the trailer. So we got Adonis kind of doing a pull-up, holding himself in the air, knees up, and Rocky hits him in the six-pack abs there with a medicine ball, just nailing him.
Which is reminiscent of Rocky getting hit with that medicine ball in the first one.
Yeah.
But then this is the added difficulty of doing it in the heat like that while doing pull-ups.
Right. So now we've cut to Victor's gym, and this is interesting. We're talking about they're loved by Russia now, or by their people. Victor's now training. Now we got the media watching the Dragos, and so we are seeing the kind of the reversal here of the House of Ill Repute is now the Dragos gym. It's nice. They've got the support of the country. The media's watching, and I don't know if this would help Victor.
No, it's a distraction. Like I said before, his training, part of his training was living that hard lifestyle. Like a lifestyle devoid of comfort, right? Which is Rocky is trying to provide that for Adonis. And now it's like this guy's training hard, but he's also probably going to bed in a nice soft bed. I may have some women weakening his legs. You never know.
He wears Under Armour. Look what he's wearing. Look what I'm wearing.
That is the clothing of champions, obviously.
That's right. I'm wearing an Under Armour hoodie, and he's wearing an Under Armour t-shirt. Basically, me and Victor Drago are exactly the same people, really.
I was like, Ryan, did you make a cameo in this film or something? Were you a stunt double? What's going on?
So Hector wanted to say, he found his way to our live discussion. Thanks, Hector, for joining us. He said that he does do those neck exercises, but he does it reverse. Instead of lifting up, I guess he lifts down to strengthen the front part of his neck.
All right. So it's legit.
It's legit. Oof, scary. And Victor is just, he is still sparring, but like a typical Drago, he's literally knocking out his sparring partners. Just give me another one. Channeling up.
You know what they should do for sparring partners for them? They should have like a Floyd Mayweather type of guy, like someone who's small, like 150 pounds or however much he is, and like trying to hit him, right? Instead of trying to hit other heavyweights. You want to hit someone real fast. Like you want to be able to catch Adonis because you're going to think Adonis' strategy is going to be able to avoid your punches.
Right. Now Rocky's rolled out a tire, and he says, "Okay, man up," he says. So he put a tire in the middle of this like makeshift ring in the desert, and this looks like Hector's neighbor.
There's no way this guy hasn't done time, like in real life, like
yeah, in real
or
life.
that guy specifically is made to look like he could be in any prison yard you see on like those TV documentaries or in movies.
Yeah, so this guy coming in, he's a huge guy, big guy. He's got tats. Those are real tats too, like you're saying. Those aren't.
Yeah.
Those aren't painted on for the film. This is a guy they pulled off casting, saying, "Hey, we need a guy that served time. It looks like he might actually kill you on film."
Yeah, we like some guy who looks tough. You not want to mess with this guy at all.
Okay, so here what Rocky says here. He goes, "Okay, man up." They're both turning down headpieces. They don't want to wear their headpieces. Both Adonis and
going to be, toe to toe. Get used to it.
Okay, so what they've done is Rocky says it's going to be toe-to-toe kind of fighting, so get used to being close to your opponent. So they both put their opposite left foot into the center of the tire in the ring, basically meaning they cannot escape. They just have to sit there and punch the crap out of each other without leaving. So Hector just wanted to say that, Ryan, you're dressed like a Russian. Your hairstyle is like a Russian. You probably drink vodka. You wouldn't make it. He goes, you wouldn't make it in Hollywood in the 30s and 40s, so you'd be red listed.
Well, you are Ukrainian, aren't you, Ryan?
I am Ukrainian for real. Yes, it's true.
So that's why you probably look like one, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm rooting for Victor to beat up Michael B. Jordan. I mean Adonis.
Well, this is actually a part of the movie that's now dated, right? Where you have the Ukrainian going to Russia.
Right.
That'd be unthinkable now.
Boy,
yeah, like there's so much going on.
All right, so let's see how they do go toe to toe here.
Take it to the body.
Take it to the body. And now we're cutting back with Victor doing the same thing to his sparring partners, just knocking them out cold, just destroying them. Gets some drink from his father, and so Yvonne gives him some water after he just knocks out a partner. Victor just walks away, and Yvonne's like, "What the hell, man? I thought we were getting close here."
Yeah, this reminds me like in Rocky IV fight when they tried to give him water and he just like with his hand away, and it's like this is him. It's like these guys showing how tough they are, right? Like for instance, Adonis and the convict. They're like, we're not wearing headgear because we're too manly for that shit. And then Victor's like, I don't need water. Water's for pussies.
It is kind of weird. In real life, there's no way they would train without headgear. I can't imagine they would risk any kind of injury before a big fight. But
yeah, you can't get cut.
Right.
Which would happen so easily without headgear.
These movies are so fake. No, I'm sure. So we go back to the medicine ball, and Rocky's. I'll go back to where he says, "Take the pain."
Victor is not taking anything.
Say again?
Victor's not taking anything. He's not taking any shots. For what we could see, at least.
Oh, from his sparring partners?
Yeah. So this is the pussification of Victor Drago, where he's training in this palatial thing, and he's probably in a nice, comfy bed, and he's not getting punched, and he's not living the hard life anymore, and so he's getting a little soft. He's still a dangerous opponent, but he's soft now. And Adonis is doing the exact opposite, where he's learning to take punishment, and he's learning to deal with uncomfortable situations. It's a total Rocky style training.
Hector said that they're trying to make Victor into a bad guy with his disrespect of Yvonne, but it makes Hector want to root for him even more now. So Rocky's saying, take it, fight the pain, as he destroys Adonis's midsection with the medicine ball.
Luckily, he doesn't say no pain.
Say again?
Luckily, he doesn't say, like, no pain, where it's like an obvious copy of the...
Yeah. So Adonis falls down, and I think it's Tony asks, are you all right? And he pukes out blood. Thoughts on that?
Well, it's not good.
That's
like
what,
that's internal bleeding's bad. Like
that's what I like the idea again of this training sequence that they're giving Adonis a real run for his money to fight through hell. But again, causing the injuries, I don't get that. I don't know if that's a good idea to cause internal bleeding before a match.
Yeah, you probably want to get close to that point, but not quite there. I don't know what can make you spit up blood exactly. If like maybe your stomach or something is hurt, I mean it's not too serious, but generally speaking, spitting up blood, no bueno.
Yeah, I would think so. Maybe Hector says it could be an ulcer.
Yeah.
It's still gross. It sounds terrible to me. Now, Yvonne comes out with the big bodyguard type thing, so you can do punches in the front section to, protect himself. So he's going to get some punches from his son Tells him to come in.
And you see him that he's still in pretty good shape especially for his age, right?
Oh, Dolph is in
Like
great
you
shape
see his
here.
shoulders and arms.
I think
Yeah.
he's 56 or 60. I can't quite remember. I know he's 10 or 15 years younger than Sly. So now we cut back to the the tire fight with their feet in the middle of this tire, and the Hector's friend here is just beating Adonis to a pulp. Just beating him, just hitting him in those ribs, like just Adonis has no defense for it, and all the other guys are kind of laughing, chuckling at this champion taking these hits from this guy. And Rocky says, "Go back in there and protect yourself." Hey, Rocky, you should have.
Yeah, come on.
Like, you're one to talk. Like, every freaking fight you were ever in, we could have said this. Rocky, would you mind just putting your hands up for a couple of those punches, maybe?
Or like you could move your head. You can you don't have to stay in that spot. There isn't a rule for that.
Oh, Donald thinks that Donald thinks that Adonis has weak ribs like his father.
Oh, it's genetic.
Yeah.
Genetic. Oh, wait a minute.
Just wait.
You know that phrase?
Go ahead.
So, sorry. You know, like that phrase when someone gets hit and they'll be like, "Oh, their ancestors felt that one." Well, like that, maybe Adonis now felt the Rocky hits from the first movie. This is the 14th round when Apollo spit up blood. Apollo's ancestors. Actually, that's wrong because he's his progenitor. He's like the opposite of an ancestor.
Right. The people in the future. Well, you could say either or, sure. But yeah, the idea is he hit it so hard that back in time they'll feel it. Yeah, fair enough. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe Adonis's daughter is getting the crap kicked out of her or something.
That's why she's hearing impaired. That's actually what happened.
She's getting teased at school for being deaf. So the part's kind of up here where Rocky says, "Go in there and protect yourself," after Adonis gets beaten to a pulp.
Back in there. Protect yourself.
So we cut back to Victor now hitting his dad with the gloves and the body armor. And Victor just looks pissed off at his father as he hits his father. And he's kind of missing the gloves, and he's kind of hitting Yvonne a little bit. Like, he's not quite hitting the gloves, he's kind of hitting his dad.
Yeah, I'm sure it's subconscious.
But look at the anger he has at his father, and Yvonne's feeling very uncomfortable here. So, a good comment in our chat about that is that Yvonne, this from Donald, he goes, Yvonne lived vicariously through Victor, so he treated him more as a meal ticket back to glory than a son, and now Victor's sick of it.
Yeah, and it seems like he wasn't very nice to Victor before.
Yeah.
Like, all his comments in the ring, and then just the way he wakes him up in the morning. I don't know. Like, he just seems like he's a dick.
Donald says, Kate Creed versus Logan Balboa in 20 years. More of Adonis running behind the Mustang. He's in the heat. He's sledgehammer in the desert, back and forth, all the different exercises he's doing. Exhaustion's taking over. You see him at night at the end of his training. His knuckles, or the skin is off his knuckles from banging on those tires. He's in the tub of ice to heal his body. He's just getting brutalized. We're just seeing a montage of brutalization. He's collapsed on the pavement behind the Mustang. Everyone remembers this scene. Rocky looks behind and says, "Oh, my fighter's dead." It's roadkill.
That's a shame. He just drives back to Philly in the guy's own Mustang.
Imagine if you just put the Mustang in reverse and just rolled over him. Too much Rocky.
You know those comments you made earlier?
Yeah, too much
and
Rocky.
How I said they didn't hurt me?
Yeah, I'll show you too much Rocky.
He's like, they did.
So now he's Adonis is at nighttime. He's looking at photos of his daughter and his wife. Cute little moment there. Giving himself a little bit of a, I'm doing this for my family. And now now Rocky's looking in the rearview mirror and he's telling him, "Get up, kid." Let's listen to that.
Waiting for the trumpet call.
Oh, you see
Come on, get up,
me
kid.
like a stranger.
Get up.
Well, I've been waiting.
I love that sequence there. Rocky's telling Adonis, get up, kid. You know, you believe in yourself. A nice little sequence here of course, all different time jumps here, you know, between past and present of the montage. We got Adonis shadowboxing over the barrel. Another burning barrel in the Rocky films. I like that. A good callback. Another burning barrel.
Yeah. You know what? I do have a criticism of this, though.
Sure. That's what we
We
do.
don't really see Adonis have an issue with taking punishment or not being able to get up. Like, to me, that wasn't the problem, right? Like, he's been knocked down hard before, several times. He still gets up. He has that intestinal fortitude. He knows how to take pain. Like, his issue was, and Rocky mentioned it before, his fighting style is what was the problem. And it doesn't seem like they're changing his style at all, especially since they're like, it's going to be a toe-to-toe fight. They're like, what? No, it's not. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know. To me, it just seems totally backward.
That's fair enough. That's fair. Yeah. Actually, no. That's a really good point. Sorry, my wife just turned on the printer. It's gonna be loud for a second. If you hear that, I apologize. Actually, we'll keep playing this for a little bit.
That's it.
Singing, amen, amen, amen.
Breaking out the cage, tell him lock the chains.
So now we're going into he's got it. Now this is the second part of the montage. He's found himself. There's no turning back now. He's lifting up tires. He's doing neck muscle stuff. He's doing everything. He's doing it better than he did before. He's taking the pain in the gut. He's just able to endure everything. But you're right, Kyle. The idea that he wasn't able to take pain before, I guess it's just more. Maybe it's just beyond what he's ever endured. Just more of it. Now he's taking care of that prison guy in the ring now. He's ducking his punches, going in hard, running fast behind the Mustang. All the classic Rocky montage type stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great sequence there of him running in front of the Mustang. You know, he's been running behind it this whole time. Now he's running in front of it. Nice little metaphor there. Classic fast running. And, of course, that's Michael B. running. I suspect that's not sped up film or anything. That's just him.
Yeah, probably. He's in great shape, so.
Yeah. He's really taking it to that prison guy. He's like, whoa, he knocked him out. So he knocked him out of the tire. Yeah, you did it. You know, they're all so excited they beat this guy.
Beat this nobody who's
Yeah,
probably.
So people in our Discord are saying that, yeah, this part gives everyone chills. I agree. This is a great moment. The musical cues, all that stuff, the what have yous. So any final thoughts there on the montage?
It was okay. I actually didn't like it that much, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't dislike it. There was nothing where I'm like, this is really stupid. The only problem I had is that it really doesn't focus on what he needs to do to win the fight, which bothers me. But in terms of like the montage, it was all right. I just thought it was like, there's nothing special about it. There's nothing all that unique or different, or like, it's just, it's an adequate montage, but I would rank it fairly low on the top montages in the Rocky and Creed films.
That's fair. Yeah, it's not. Well, you're right. The Creed montages. Here's the thing. The Creed films are filmed very well, acted very well. They're good films, but they lack Rocky doing the montage. I hate to say it. It's weird how Rocky with the montage is just more fun to watch, more inspiring. It's got nothing to do with the styling of the filming. It's fine. Adonis is fine. Don't at me, whoever. You know. Yeah. It's like, but you're right. It's just not the same. It's not the same. I think if they had Clubber doing it, it would have been like if Clubber was there. I think it would have been more fun. I think the Creed 2 montage might have been talked about more had they were able to get Mr. T to redo his role as Clubber helping out the training. Because funny enough, that was his thing, was about pain. And I know it would have been cheesy, but imagine if Mr. T or Clubber Lang came around the corner saying, it would have been like this. So Adonis goes, what are we doing here? What kind of, like, what are we doing here? What am I supposed to get from here? And then Clubber walks around the building, goes, pain.
Yeah.
That would have been you know how much the crowd would have popped, how much the audience in the movies would have popped with that. Seriously.
He's like, I didn't like your dad. Don't like you. Like, I'm gonna make this next 6 weeks hell.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, that's it. That's the end of this episode regarding the training montage. Katie will be with us next episode where we deal with the fight in Moscow. That's it. I think we'll get it done in one episode. So even if we get emails, I think what we're gonna do is please send us the emails. I will just maybe take a couple fine points from them, like I did today. We'll just take a couple little things here and there. But I think we want to close out. The fight doesn't need to be two episodes, I don't think, because it's kind of like the training is hard to talk about because there's so much going on. It's all visual, and just go on YouTube, of course, and watch the training montage. But the final fight, there'll be things to talk about. Even just there's going to be more to talk about regarding before and after the fight than the fight itself, because the fight just plays out as it plays out. But we'll talk about it. Katie,
Yeah, we'll be back when the day is new, and we'll have more ideas for you. You'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too.
what was that from?
Mr. Rogers. That's the
Really? I was like, are you telling me
Yeah.
how to podcast? I was like, what's going on here?
because he's like, and I'll be back when the day is new, and I'll have more
I was like,
ideas for
I
you.
thought we did an okay job. We do miss Katie, but I was like, I didn't think we were that bad. I was like, oh boy, I gotta, you know me, Stallion. I'll think of something. But yeah, so our next episode should be the last episode of the film. But we're going to do one more, so I'm kind of going to plug it now. We are going to do a series / podcast finale episode that we want to have everyone, want to make it a party. We want everyone to join, kind of a Q&A. We want people on our Discord to ask us questions. We want people on our Discord to come on camera, to give their thoughts on the Going the Distance podcast, their thoughts of the journey of the show. So again, I know we don't have a lot of listeners, but I'm inviting now, I'm putting the call out there that in a couple weeks' time, like by the end of February, beginning of March, we want people to join our Discord, join the live series finale. I think it's a big milestone. Going the Distance is hanging up the gloves, and if you want to be a part of that discussion, be a part of that milestone of an episode, that's the invite. Get on our Discord. If you don't know how, or you don't understand how to get on Discord, check out the show description of every episode. There's a link to Discord. If you still don't know how, send me an email at gtdwithrr@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter at Reiner Balkan, REBALKIN, and I'll send you the link to Discord, and I can walk you through it. I just kind of want to plug that because it's like, this could be fun, right? If we could have 10, 15, who knows how many people, and people can kind of give their thoughts on Rocky, testimonials of the actual podcast, and like I said at the beginning, we are going to do this, Rockies 1 through 6 again, me, Kyle, and Katie, on a new podcast, a reboot called One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. So stand by for that. But Going the Distance will hang up its gloves in just 2 more episodes. All right. Well, Kyle, it's you again.
Sure, you don't want to do it?
No, not yet.
Okay, well there it is. Actually, that should be something a guest does on our final episode. They could do the final ding ding.
Yeah, sure.
If you give enough
Do
to
it a draw.
Patreon,
We'll do a draw. You know, like a draw. Yeah, there you go. If you want to do the final ding ding of the franchise of this podcast series, wow. Join the live Discord, and we'll do like a draw. Yeah, that's a great idea, Kyle. Look at you.
Nice. All right. Ding, ding.
All right, don't hang up. Don't hang up.